Welcome to Home Biz Tax Talk. My name is Lysandra Everett. I am the Home Biz Tax Lady, where I help home business owners win the tax game. Home Biz Tax Talk airs Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock-ish. And when you tune into my show, you're going to hear about topics that are important to the home business community. So today I want to talk about how to read a CP2000 letter. Every year, starting late May, going into June, July, generally, during the summer months is when taxpayers start receiving letters from the IRS. Okay. This is what's known as tax representation season, correspondence season, is whatever you call it. Besides, after tax season, after the filing season is when the IRS sends the letters out. And the reason is that the IRS processes all refunds first. So they deal with the refunds, get those out the door, and then they start dealing with people that have tax liabilities that have not paid. So that's the last thing that they deal with. And this is really all an automated process, by the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I found a CP2000 on the internet. So I'm going to go through it and we're going to talk about how to read it so that you understand what you're getting. Now, the reason this is a home business topic is that home business owners, by and large, wind up getting these letters because a lot of times we get out here and make all this money and have not prepared to pay taxes at all. So, come tax time, you wind up with this tax bill that you don't have money to pay. And so this is the beginning of the process. And I want to just go through it with you. All right. So let me share my screen, cross my fingers, playing with new toys. We're going to hopefully get this right. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen. Can you let me know if you can see my screen before I start talking to myself and y'all can't see stuff? Let me know if you can see my screen and then we'll get going. All right. I think we are good. Okay. So let's get started. All right. So first of all IRS notices have this notice number right at the top. Okay, so this is where you see the CP2000. Now, there are other different types of letters, okay, and there's a corresponding number for all of them. So generally speaking, even though we're just talking about a CP2000 notice today, generally all of the IRS forms follow this pattern. All right. So you've got the notice number CP2000. Another one is a 3219. There's lots of them. Okay. Now, then we have the tax year. So we're talking about the tax year in question. Now, usually, sometimes it can take a while. Okay. If something happens, you filed late or whatever. So, this tells you what tax year that the IRS is dealing with, and then the notice date. This is, now listen to me, the IRS, they predate their notices. So there's not a whole bunch of time from when this notice date is sent to when you actually get it. Okay. So it's not one of those things where you can go back to the IRS and say, okay, well, you mailed it on this letter. So on this date. So it took the letter, 15 days to get to me and all. No, that's not how that works. Okay. The IRS is a little bit smarter than that, just to let you know. All right. Then you have your social security number, a control number, and then how to contact the IRS. Okay. That is, so when people say, well, I didn't know what to do. Well, when people say I didn't know what to do, that means they didn't open the letter. So this is one of those things where I tell you that, not opening a letter does not mean that you did not receive the letter. There are people that really believe that, and I need you all to stop it because the IRS keeps copious notes on what they send and what types of letters. Okay. So a CP2000 is proposed changes, and that's what it says right here. Proposed changes to your whatever year, 1040, and then the amount. Now, it tells you that the information you provided, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it didn't match. So with the CP2000 letter, there is a discrepancy with income reporting. It could be a difference in a W-2 where and really it could be something so simple as a typo, right? So you may have received a W-2 for $32,000 and you put in $31,000. Okay. It can be something as simple as that. But what it does, it goes you through the billing summary, right? It tells you what you owe, what payments and credits you have, if there's a penalty, okay? And usually with underreporting, there is a penalty for underreporting, what the interest is, and then the amount due. Now, a CP2000 letter is not a tax bill, okay? That is not a tax bill, but you can go ahead and pay the bill. So in the case that I gave you, if you had your $32,000 W-2 and you only put in $31,000, okay, it was a typo. So, okay, you just need to pay the difference. Okay. That's what that means. And you can do that. There's no discrepancy there. But for my home business owners, it might be a little bit different. So number one, it tells you what you need to do. If you agree with the changes, complete and sign the form, mail the payment, and call it a day. Okay. If you can't, and it tells you what to do if you can't pay the amount due. So this is why I said when people say, I got this letter and I didn't know what to do, that means you did not open the letter and you didn't read the letter. Okay. Now it says if you don't agree with the changes, then you can complete the response form on page 5. Okay. So it tells you exactly what to do. Now, in the case of home business owners, you may or may not need to amend your taxes. Okay. And one of those things, let's say, for instance, that you have a 1099 that you didn't report. And I mean, really, it's possible, meaning that, you might have done some affiliate marketing for some company. You made $600 at the beginning of the year and you hadn't thought 2 times about these folks. Okay. And you might have moved, didn't get the 1099. There are, lots of things that could have happened that don't, that doesn't mean that you're just intentionally underreporting your income, right? So you got this 1099 that winds up being reported, but you have expenses that goes along with that. So if you're going to pay taxes, then you're going to want to deduct those expenses as well. So you can really legally pay what it is that you owe and not just paying, taxes on this, this $600 that, whatever, you know what I mean, right? All right. So now it also tells you if we don't hear from you, then if we don't receive your response by whatever date this is, then we'll send you a statutory notice of deficiency followed by a final bill for the proposed amount due. And it also tells you during this time, interest and penalties may increase. Okay. So that means if they don't hear from you, then they have to take the next step. The 3219 is the next step. That is the 90-day letter, the statutory notice of deficiency that says, hey, and really it's the process of, the CP2000 is, hey, we got a difference here. Just letting you know, you can go ahead and, if you agree, send us some money. If you don't, then send us, your proposed changes. Okay. Then when you're getting the 3219, the 90-day letter, that's the IRS saying, look, we already told you one time that you owe us some money. There's a difference. Okay. We didn't hear from you. So now here is the 90-day letter and we're not playing. All right. So, but the 90-day letter will follow a similar format. It's going to have the same thing. It's going to have the notice. All of this up here is going to look the same. But the thing about it is that you don't want to wait. You don't want to just not respond to the IRS because at that point you force them to enforce the law. Okay. So people want to, hate on the IRS and saying, they did me dirty and all of that stuff. No, you force their hand and they have to enforce the law. They have a job to do just like you do. Okay. But the thing about it is, like I said, if you don't agree, if there is a reason you don't agree with the changes, then you say that. If you do agree with the changes, then, you say, okay, yeah, oops, typo. And if you don't have the money, let's say that, you get this letter and yeah, you screwed up, but you don't have the money to send them. You still respond to the letter because as long as you keep in contact with the IRS, they'll work something out because at the end of the day, they just want their taxes paid. That's it. And it could be an issue of, okay, yeah, at the time I filed these taxes. Yeah, I had all this money, but I lost my job and I can't pay this right now. Okay. Call the IRS and tell them that. And I get a lot of people that deal in, operate in fear of dealing with the IRS. And so they don't do anything. Doing nothing will cost you more. Okay. Let me say that, because at that point, then you're really having to hire a professional, someone like me, hiring a CPA, hiring a tax attorney. You're having to go through all of that because you did nothing. So doing nothing absolutely costs you more in the long run. Okay. So that's really it. Let me check my notes to make sure, I haven't forgotten anything, because I got a whole bunch of them over here. Okay. Also, there are still scammers that send letters that look like they're from the IRS. Okay. And I've seen these and they look real. They follow the same format and all of that. They actually do look real. If you get a letter that says that you owe and you're thinking, no, there's something that's not right here, it doesn't seem right, you can call the IRS to verify whether or not you have received a letter. Okay. Or even if you just, whatever, if you just want to make sure it is from the IRS, you can call them to verify. The IRS is not going to immediately be threatening to send the cops to your house. They're not going to be asking for credit card numbers and all of that over the phone and, telling you that somebody's going to be coming to your house and take you to jail immediately if you don't pay them. That is not it. Also, and I mentioned before that the IRS has contracted debt collection agencies to help recoup, unpaid taxes. But even with that, you pay the IRS. You don't pay that debt collection agency, because there are still scammers out there that are calling, pretending to be these debt collection agencies. And you wind up sending money to these scammers thinking you're doing the right thing. And then you still have this tax bill that's sitting there. The IRS, they can't do anything for you because your tax bill still has not been paid. So yeah, you will be out your money. So I cannot stress to you enough the importance of really verifying and knowing your tax situation, knowing whether or not you owe the IRS, knowing whether or not you file, just knowing all of these things about your tax situation is so important. So yeah, that's it for the CP2000 notice. So if you get one of those, like I said, don't automatically freak out. Open the letter, read it. It may not even be as bad as you think. Okay. Like seriously. So that's it, you guys. So I really hope that you found this helpful. Again, this is Home Biz Tax Talk. We air Monday through Friday, 9:00-ish, and you can come here to get your questions answered about your home business taxes. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.